don't think it would be beneficial to continue on with the
Oh
marriage.
my gosh, his
I know
victim
in my heart, I'm
Olympics is
already out.
falling apart. What is up, everyone? I hope everyone is excited like I am. Well, I don't know about excited, but looking at these train wrecks, it's entertaining, so what can I say? We've definitely moved on from Lauren and Orion, for sure, even though they are still bringing them up for train wreck purposes and ratings. Of course, we have experts that are really non-experts, and now we have Emily and Brennan, who Brennan is really showing his true colors. Is anyone shocked? He went from the nice and innocent, I'm not giving up on this marriage, to now I think he's really turned to the straight up, Russian, you will obey me. First, before we get into it, make sure you follow, comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. And let me know if there's anything else you want to see. Any other shows? I hate myself sometimes, so I might be willing to do a show that might make me hate myself a little more. But we will see. First, let's get into it and go ahead and look at our resident people who seemed like that they're actually going to make it, Becca and Austin.
I'll just be 2. So then I got 19.
This seems like the most boring game I've ever heard in the world. I'm sorry if you like this game.
So I won.
Yeah, so 28, last card, you get 1 point.
I peg.
Boop.
You pegged me.
Yeah.
She's trying so hard.
What is my goal? What am I?
This is the funny part about this one. She said in this, before or after this part, that she's trying to create that sexual tension. The fact is she's also said in other parts that, you know, she's trying to get that intimacy, and he's said that he's trying to go a little slower. Now for him, it seems like there's a little more to it than that. It seems like maybe in the past he's been burned. It makes sense. You know, you don't want a guy necessarily that's just going to jump in the bed with you. I mean, if you do that, what's to stop him from leaving if you haven't developed that connection? So maybe try something different for once. But clearly it's getting to her. Obviously he's okay with it, taking it slow. We'll see what plays out. There's still going to be some issues with them because they're not addressing the whole how we want to raise kids things. But of course, we're at 2 weeks in, or 3 weeks in, I believe. So you have time for that, but it is a discussion you're going to have.
How is the intimacy in the relationship?
I mean, what do you think?
This is where they talk about it a little bit more.
That sounds good.
He moves at a slower pace than I do.
I thought they were going to
So
say
it's
they
been, like,
consummated
an
there,
adjustment
but
for me,
I was
but,
wrong.
Like, I'm just being respectful.
So when you say a slower pace, can you tell me a little bit more what you mean by that?
I just like to have an emotional connection with someone before jumping in bed with them.
Makes
I
sense.
want it more special than just like banging.
That should be the guy that you are aiming for. You want a guy who wants something a little more intimate, a little more special, and just doesn't want to do what guys are predisposed to do, which is to procreate. You want that guy that wants to build that connection with you. Now, for him, I don't think it's just that. I think he's probably been hurt in the past, but that's the kind of thing you actually should want in a relationship. You don't, and same goes for females. You don't want a female that's just automatically going to jump into bed with you. Even if you're a guy and we're visual creatures, if you can take a second to step back and realize that that's not the right thing, you would be better off because there's a good chance, I'm not saying always, but there's a good chance it may not last. So they have some things they need to work out, but they're on the right path.
Gotcha. Is there something that you think would make it feel like banging now? Because what I'm seeing is not like banging energy.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like true, genuine connection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's still just you need a little more time. Process
Okay.
and figure it out.
That should be reasonable, but at the same time, you see her, and it doesn't seem like she's okay with that as much. I hope she comes to terms with it because they're the ones that seem like, oh my God, I just looked at her face. They're the ones that seem like they might have the best chance. We will see, to be determined. It is to be seen. These things change on a whim. I've seen couples in this that look like they're going to last, and like a week after, like, yeah, we're not together anymore. It's crazy, but it happens all the time. It's almost like getting married at first sight might be more of a ratings grab than it is for actual relationships experts. Moving on, let's get to Orion and see where they are at because, of course, they made an appearance. Orion, our old douche. We have a new douche. This is our old douche. So, Orion and Lauren made an appearance for the potluck, but of course, it would seem that things might be still attempting to get ratings, if you will, because they're still letting them appear.
You never apologized for the way you made me feel. You just cried about how it made you feel
Absolutely
bad.
did.
Me feel
Victim,
bad.
victim,
I
victim.
did that night.
You did not even apologize for calling me a failure and that I failed in this marriage and for not having your back. So don't sit here and say you've apologized for those words unless you really felt it.
Now, I still think she probably would have done the same thing, but at the same time, he was the douche. Big time douche.
When all I've been doing is assuring you that you haven't failed.
Well, I don't think you have failed.
Then why would you say that?
Like,
She's
I'm not
reflected.
changing what I'm
She's
saying.
reflected.
You literally do change what you say, Orion. You change it every moment.
If that's your truth, that's your truth.
Your
But,
truth.
I did
Gaslighter.
Let's be real about something. There is not your truth. There's the truth. Every time someone says your truth, that's just a way for you to interpret things. There's the truth. And there's your truth trying to get out of this conversation. And then she says, let's let her finish that statement.
And I'm about to bring that up.
Said, you're such a gaslighter, bruh. Now, I am tired of the term gaslighting because everyone uses it now. It's the new thing. Gaslighting, gaslighting, gaslighting. But in this case, it's true. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is where you're making someone believe something that's true and then making them feel bad for it or getting some sort of something out of it when it's not even true in the first place. In this case, making her feel like she did something racially crazy to him when in reality, all he wanted was to get out of the relationship. That's pretty clear. He didn't feel the connection, whatever. He looked for an out. She goes on to say something about slut shaming.
You're such a gaslighter.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and let you say otherwise because you know it's the truth. I have been accountable for my actions this entire time. And if you're not going to hold yourself accountable, I will.
Hold him accountable because it's good for ratings.
Well, I don't know what I need to hold myself accountable with. The only thing that I really came to a conclusion on is that how I felt about her in the beginning.
Tell him how you feel,
is
Orion.
How I was feeling about her in that moment. And
In
that
that
hasn't
moment.
quite come back.
Oh my gosh.
And so for that, I don't think it would be beneficial to continue on with the marriage.
Oh my
because
gosh. His
I know
victim
in my
victim
heart, I'm
Olympics is
already out.
falling apart.
Do either of you feel like you gave up too fast or like you didn't let the process play out?
I don't think I gave up because I didn't ask
She
for
didn't
the
give up.
divorce.
She didn't give up.
I was ready to stay married.
I don't think that I'm not giving it a chance. I feel like I tried, and there's just small steps
Oh my
back
gosh.
with each argument.
How?
What?
How easy it is for us to fall out of a easy conversation and then kind of start going back and forth.
You're
with
only
each
there
other.
for ratings,
That's
dude.
something
Come on, man.
Has been really consistent, and it's
The
just
consistent is the
there is a
arguing that
disconnect
I start
in
per
our
Orion.
communication. I'm specifically talking
Where was the disconnect?
with the honeymoon. I mean, there was disconnect all throughout the honeymoon.
Sometimes I feel like you'll say things and I'm like, huh?
As a whole, it does feel like there's a big disconnect when it
Oh
comes to
my gosh.
communicating.
He is absolutely making
We
excuses at
don't
this point.
communicate.
Ah. They don't communicate. So, in reality, craziness, it was never going to work. She went on to say something about him slut shaming her because of the whole I slept with someone 2 months before this started. I mean, should you have been, you could do what you want, but when you knew you were in this process, I don't think, sleeping with someone probably was like, oh, one more hoorah. But if you know you're in the process, why'd you do that anyway? Slut shaming thing, another whole thing. You choose to sleep with someone, fine. Men and women can be whores. They can sleep with a lot of people. It's not just a man or woman thing. So, because he simply said, I'm not attracted to you, he was using it as an excuse, 100%. But that was a stupid argument on her part. Either way, it was him, though. Him. He was the problem. She said some things that were a little problematic when it came to just what she's talking about, but she did nothing wrong. He used it as an excuse, and that's where we are. So, it's all him. He's going to continue to make this seem like it's something else, but it's not. Alas, what are you going to do? Moving on to our new douche.
Good. I did just want to say sorry again for last night. It's just not how I wanted the first fun night to go.
Yeah. I'm trying not to take it personally,
He 100% took it personally. He's apologizing. She's apologizing again for her friends grilling him. Don't get me wrong. They came off a little, I mean, they came off wrong, for one. They were a little harsh for anybody. That being said, he got super defensive, and I don't know why she's apologizing again. He's saying things like he wants her to defend him and everything like that. You can 100% have a significant other, you know, like my wife, or to me, you know, her husband. And you can defend someone in public and say, hey, to your friends, you were a little harsh. Why'd you do that to Brennan? And then behind closed doors say, hey, Brennan, maybe don't take things so personal. I mean, you kind of jumped the gun a little bit quickly on that one. It's okay to admit someone's wrong. You can defend them, but then admit they're wrong. You don't have to call them out and embarrass them. It doesn't have to be one extreme or the other, all defense or all non-defense. In this case, she's going to just apologize. I need to defend you and write it out. She could say right here, yeah, you were kind of a dick though. You know, I defended you. I told him not to be so rough, but, you know, maybe not take some things so personal. He's sensitive. He's a sensitive dude who cannot take anything. He would be just as bad as Orion, no doubt. He can't take a joke. He can't take criticism. He can't take any of that. That's a problem in your relationship.
Romantic feelings, all that. Do you think attraction and like romance and like chemistry, is that like something that you need to have from the beginning, or is it something that like can grow over time as you get to know someone?
My past, it's been immediate. So this is like very uncharted territory for me.
So he's relied strictly on physical attraction in the past. That's pretty clear. Men are physical. Men are visual. So yes, that may be the case. But if you can't admit that something can grow, and oh, by the way, his wife is not an unattractive woman. She's not. So if you can't admit that, even if you're not 100% all in right away, that can grow, and you're like completely shut off now when everything looked fine at the honeymoon, there's a serious problem there, and there's something more than just, I'm not physically attracted. He's pulling away because he doesn't want to be a part of it, and he's trying to find every excuse. And being kind of a dick about it because he's saying things like, well, I don't want to be mean and tell you why I'm unattracted to you. Good thing is he gets called out a little bit, but it's a dick move. He's looking for an excuse. So he's it's the only option is to stay married. That's my only option. And yet you're pulling out right now. You're pulling back. Where are the experts at? They can help. No, they can't because it's for ratings. Of course.
I did this because I wanted to trust the experts and do things differently, not anticipating that this would be one of my obstacles. But now that it is, you know, I told everyone I wanted to trust the process, and that's...
It was not an obstacle until you got back from the honeymoon. So I guess you were just enjoying your honeymoon and lying and putting off vibes that weren't true. Anyways, the more troubling part with him is something that goes on when they actually talk to the experts.
Yeah, I'm just helping. This is a lot, right? So I'm just going to help her take a step back. And
she doesn't need your help, though.
Okay, this is my wife, so I'm just going to make sure she's okay.
Oh, it's your wife now.
That's my job, is to ask her if she's okay.
He kept trying to not let her talk for herself, and then he wants to say, this is my wife. This is your wife, but you're saying you're not attracted to her. You're pulling back. This is control. This is going to be a serious problem. If they continue on in this relationship, she is going to be alienated from her friends and family. That's pretty clear. She's the one that I was actually more nervous about her because she came in. I haven't been in a relationship. She's had some one-night stands, had 2 or 3 dates, never been in a relationship. I'm like, oh, she ain't ready. He ain't ready. She is actually ready to settle down, it would appear. She's the one that's like, I've done the dating, I've done the random people, whatever. It's time for me to settle down. He's the one that's lying to himself, saying divorce is not an option, but yet pretty much seems like that's what he's going to do. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is scary. This is scary because the control is ridiculous. Now, you can have a controlling spouse. You can have someone who likes the control and is a little more dominant, but is also reasonable, is also like, we as a couple talk and discuss things. That's not that. The expert was trying to talk to her, and he kept talking over and telling her what to do, and then at that point he wants to touch her and act like he's got some sort of chemistry. Nah, this is control. This is scary. Watch this one, because this is insane. This crap is ridiculous.
Yeah, I am fine. I think I will be fine.
When you made the kind of like eye squint and were looking like that, what was that for you? When you do that, what does it mean?
Am I wrong?
A what?
He's still trying to interject. What the hell? He's trying to tell her what the hell she's feeling. This guy is ridiculous. Watch out for that guy. He got problems, and this relationship is going to crash and burn. If he don't have the control, it's going to be a problem.
Thinking phase.
So I think it's thinking / frustration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You finally admit it. At least she admits there's some frustration there. But this is going to be a problem. It really is. This relationship is not going to last. All his talk about divorce is not an option. It's going to be a divorce. There's no other option. They cannot sustain. She is going to either come to the terms that he's a control freak and isn't willing to even let her speak for herself, or she's going to be a battered woman. And by battered woman, I don't necessarily mean beaten. I don't necessarily mean domestic violence, but I mean isolated. I mean separated from her friends and family. This is not going to go well. Not at all. Moving on to one that was very interesting because it had kind of a twist at the end, Claire and Cameron. At least he's giving an explanation for not saying about his dad.
I just assumed that... It was very, very strange the way that it was brought up. So I just was like, whoa, that's interesting that out the gate, he doesn't even know Amy, and all of a sudden he's like diving into all that, which, I was intrigued.
For me, my father's been sick for many years.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to hear that. That's like really hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something that I've like already kind of like grieved and like accepted over in the sense that it's just something
still hard though.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's like the reason why I was being short was like there was no hidden mystery. My dad is sick, you know.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of is what it is versus like, oh, you know, here's this recent thing that happened to me and I'm feeling really emotional about it.
100%.
It's like I've kind of already gone through the stages, and that's why we kind of like, you know, missed each other.
Thank you for sharing.
So he's basically saying, I've already come to terms with it. I've already, you know, grieved it. He's been sick for a long time. And also goes to say that he's worried if he found out about the process that maybe that stress would cause him to be, you know, stress can affect your immune system. So it can cause him to downward spiral, whatever. So it was definitely reasonable. So that whole conversation was good. I think she was overanalyzing. She's a therapist. She's can't put her therapist hat away sometimes. But the issue later actually kind of flips because he kind of flips the script, and it's interesting what happens.
Right, because you all led with saying how compatible that you feel that you are. And you already have this understanding of what you've tried that hasn't worked. Let's focus on what is working. What if we take away the pressure from everything else and just focus on having fun?
The pressure of signing up for a Married at First Sight?
Yeah, I like that.
I guess what I'd say is I'd be disingenuous if I agreed right now. I would like to sleep on your advice, and that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I just need time when it comes to those things.
That.
So I hear you. I think it is fantastic advice.
Yeah.
But I can't commit to you right in this moment.
So this is the problem. What happened was that when they were talking to Orion, something flipped in Cameron's head, and he's thinking, oh, maybe this isn't right, because she's been a little cold and everything. I get it. But is it right to do it like this? I mean, they're trying to tell you some things. Now, the experts, sure. But they're trying to tell you some things. He's saying, I want to sleep on it other than decide to just end my marriage. He's basically saying he doesn't know if it's done yet or not. He's doing what Orion did. So that's not good, because I thought, again, she was more the negative one in this and not him. But then I was like, with this, what the holy hell?
Like, are we just attached to being...
That's for you to decide. I've decided for me that it's unhealthy. Because I want to love you.
3 weeks.
But I don't want us to hurt each
I want
other.
it. I want it.
I don't know what to tell you from here. I don't know what to do. Because I don't want you to feel like I'm pressuring you to stay in a situation that's not healthy.
Do you see a future with me?
No,
do you see a future with me?
Cutting me off really does piss me off. I'm sorry.
Is there an
Interesting
answer?
question.
I don't know.
So he is bugging for, does she see a few, because before, this is where something flipped. Before, he said to her, is there even a 0.01% or whatever he said chance that that attraction grows? And she said yes. She said more than that. So he said, okay, that's all I need. So at that point, he was like, if I just have that little bit, we can build it. It's been 3 weeks. It takes time, even if you're married. Now something has flipped, and he's basically saying, do you see a future? He needs a definitive answer. If she said yes, though, it would be something else. This is not going to last. They may call for the divorce in the next episode, but then again, they showed some stuff for the future, so maybe not the next one. They're not going to last. It's pretty clear. The interesting thing is what shows for the future, in that it looks like it shows Orion trying to reconcile with Lauren. Run for your life. I'm curious to see those episodes, so it will be interesting. Either way, we're looking still at maybe Becca and Austin being the ones that last. That's it. They're the only ones that possibly could. And even them, they have some hurdles to overcome. They're still in this kind of rose-colored glasses state, almost like the honeymoon phase still, even though they're not technically on their honeymoon, but they talk about the honeymoon phase. They're still in that honeymoon phase. I think when it crashes down and they have to decide how things are going to come, if religion means something to him, if it doesn't mean anything to her, it's going to be a problem. Now, I think he's not really held out as much on it, but it'll be interesting to see, because I would not be shocked if none of them last. But maybe Becca and Austin. We will see. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy the commentary, make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe, all those things. Let me know if there's something else you want to see. I'm willing to debase myself and look at some more reality TV, although I may hate myself after, but I'll do it because it's entertaining to hate it. Anyways, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.